G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my NRL Round 24 tipping video. This season is almost over. It is getting crazy right now. The battle for the top 8, that battle for the minor premiership. It looks like Penrith have got it, but the Broncos are knocking on the door. The Warriors want that fairy tale finish. Let's get into my tips and speak a little bit about the success of my tips from last week.
Subscribe to Entertain House.
Week in round 23, I had a cracker, a multi got up that you guys definitely should have followed if you saw the try scorers that I was picking. Now, I had Daniel Tupou, first try scorer in Roosters Manly. Did tip Manly, got the tip wrong. Daniel Tupou was $9. Jackson Ford as an anytime try scorer for the Wars against the Gold Coast Titans, paying $4.10. Young Tonomapia at $21. First try scorer against the Melbourne Storm. Don't ask me how I did it, but I did, and tipped Penrith there. Got the margin correct, but the score wrong for the Broncos game. I did tip them by 16 points and Reece Walsh to score a try. He scored a fantastic try, and one went against me. Under 48.5 points for the Knights and the Dolphins. It went overs in that one. And then the last one, the Sharks plus 12.5. I was so close to tipping the Sharks. You know, I tipped Rabbitohs by 10. Close game, but those were the bets that got up. And I'm looking forward to going back-to-back this week. Round 24 of the NRL kicks off on Thursday night when the Manly Sea Eagles host the Penrith Panthers. Now, the Panthers look like the team to beat. They have looked like the team to beat in recent weeks. And Manly, they were expected to get the win over the Roosters. A lot of people tipped the Roosters, but based on form, I think you would have had Manly going into that game. You know, they beat the Sharks, they beat the Dragons, but they weren't able to beat the Roosters. As for this side, it looks unchanged besides Matt Lodge being ruled out for the season. It was also the first time Matt Lodge has lost against the club that he has previously played for, that being the Sydney Roosters, so that stat's gone. Sean Keppie comes into the front row, and it looks like Kelma Talangi moves into jersey number 16 with Ben Travojevic in the back row. As for the Penrith Panthers, it looks like they're unchanged. I'm just confirming. Isaac Targo still on the sidelines, but yeah, Penrith, they're going to be too good here, you know it. I don't think this game will be too close. I don't mind the Manly line, but I won't touch it just because Penrith seem to put on some scores. But I'm going to go the Panthers by 18 points here. They're going to be too good for the Sea Eagle. The Sea Eagle season comes to an end, I think, on Thursday night. Penrith 30, Manly 12, and he didn't score last week, so I am going to back Zach Hosking to score the first try of the match because I think he was really damaging on that right edge, and I think he can do some damage against the Sea Eagles. Next up is a great game. You've got the Cronulla Sharks hosting the Gold Coast Titans. The Sharks, after a few losses in the last month, got the win over the Rabbitohs. They leaked some points late on, but they started the game, especially that first half, really, really well. I felt like a lot of refereeing decisions went their way, but the Sharks look like they could be playing finals football now. They've put themselves in a great position, and they welcome back Ronaldo Mulitalo for this game as well, which is a big inclusion. Pushing Hiroti, the first try scorer last week, onto the reserve. As for the Titans, AJ Brimson has been ruled out, Mo Fotuaika and Sam Verrill. Tino Fasuma Ali is back, big Tino for the Titans there. Jaden Campbell at fullback once again. And yeah, Titans, I thought they were really brave in that defeat against the Warriors last week. I haven't thought they've had the greatest season in the world, set the world on fire, but I thought they played great. And as for the Sharks, I expected them to cover a line, but I didn't expect them to get the job done. And now they're back at home, and this is a game they should be winning. But I'm actually going to tip the Titans here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be brave. I reckon the Titans are going to get up for this one. You know, they got Tino back from suspension. Jaden Campbell's setting the world on fire there at fullback. I wish Brimson was in the centres, but I don't mind Kelly and Shop to set up some plays. Loving the form of Tanner Boyd. He's in great form with Kieran Foran. Their halves are firing. Chris Randall gets his opportunity at 9 rather than 14. Look, Mo Fotuaika is a big loss, and maybe that's where the Titans lose the game. But I reckon they'll win a tight one here. I reckon the Sharks have not been consistent at all, and they showed that they can leak some points, especially down their edges last week. So I'm going to go the Titans to win by 4 points. I'm going to go the Titans 22 to the Sharks 18. This should be a high-scoring one. And if the Titans can score first, they should win. So I'm going to back Philip Sami to score the first try for this game. The Titans to pull off an upset on Friday night. It is on Friday at the Gabba. It is the Brisbane Broncos hosting my Parramatta Eels. We got the win against the Dragons by 6 points. Really, really tough game. Not the game I expected, if I'm being honest. I expected a bigger scoreline. But that's what Parramatta have done all year. They've stayed in the fight or they've come back from behind. Really, really weird season, and lose this game. And it's going to be very, very hard to make the top 8 unless we maybe win our last 2 games against Penrith and the Roosters. Really tough run here for the Eels in the back half of the year. But as for the Brisbane Broncos, they are welcomed by the return of Adam Reynolds, and Jesse Arthurs is out for this one. Dean Mariner coming back on the wing. And then as for the Parramatta Eel, there are some changes that I'm weird about. Arthur Miller-Stevens, who had a fantastic debut last week, has been overlooked. And Bailey Simonson comes in from the centres, moving to the wing. He has been playing out of form, in my opinion, so this is a weird move. Dejan Arce, who didn't play last week, who was on the reserve, comes into the Eels starting in the centres. I don't know if this is a good move or a bad move. And then Brendan Hands is back for the Eel. He's in jersey number 17. Andrew Davey starting in the second row with Ryan Madison off the bench. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this Parramatta team, and it's do or die. I wasn't impressed with the performance last week. We have a good record against the Broncos. We have a great record in Suncorp, but this game's not at Suncorp, it's at the Gabba. The Broncos in parts do look beatable, but they also look like a team that can go all the way this year. In saying that, though, I'm going to tip the Broncos here. I hate to do it because I think it almost means the season is over. But I ultimately think the Broncos have too much strike power. I think they're playing like a complete footy team. I think we can stay in the fight. So my best bet of the week is the Eels plus 10.5. I think we can cover that 10.5 points. But ultimately, I think the Broncos are going to come home with the 2 points. I'm going to go the Broncos by 6. The Broncos to beat the Eels, 24 points to 18. And I reckon Tony Staggs is going to score the first try for this game. Eels plus 10.5. But the Broncos, unfortunately, I think they're going to get the win. The game is, I believe, at Cairns. It's the Rabbitohs and the Dragons at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Now, wow, Jack Bird and Zach Lomax have been ruled out by the Dragons. They are paying a massive $7 in this game. South Sydney have not been playing good football. They have not been playing good football. And for the Dragons to be $7 here is outrageous. It's not even in Sydney, for God's sake. Look, South Sydney, they've been really disappointing. They're now in the fight to play finals. I think they should get there, but who knows? They're a really strange team. You got Latrell Mitchell, strike power. You got Campbell Graham, one of the centres of the year. You got Damien Cook, an Origin rep. Cameron Murray. I'm loving Tallis Duncan off the bench. He's one of my favourite players in the NRL to watch right now. He is an absolute gun. Tyrone Munro has been overlooked this week with Tane Milne starting on the wing. Tyrone had a mixed game last week. Thomas Burgess has been suspended. I'm not going to get into it, but it's a bullshit call if you saw my Instagram. And Francis Molo is also out for the Dragons. So Sully, Fine are the centres, and Michael Molo coming in to the front row. The Dragons put in a great fight against Parramatta. They really turned up to play their footy. Couldn't get the job done. In some cases, to some fans, they were robbed. But, Parramatta came back from behind. But the Dragons, man, give them full credit. Weird that all their tries did come from the wing. I'd like to see more of the middle, score, things like that. The edges, some more attack from the Dragons, because I think they've got the opportunity here. But I think the Rabbitohs have to click here. They have to click here, and they have to put on a score. So I'm going to go with the Rabbitohs by 20. I think they're going to be too good for the Dragon. They're missing a lot of players. It's in the back half of the season. They haven't got too much to play for, the Dragons. So I'm going to go the Rabbitohs to win 30 points to 10. And my first try scorer, I'm going to go Isaiah Tuss. I just don't see the Dragons being as competitive as they were last week. They had that great game. Now I think they're going to have a bit of an off afternoon. The next game is over in New Zealand, but it is considered as a home game for the West Tigers. Very unlucky for the West Tigers not to get the win against the Canberra Raiders. That was a crazy ending of football the other day when prime David Nofaluma absolutely would have caught that ball and put it down. And then there was a high tackle penalty and the Tigers had one last shot to win the game. But the Raiders just were able to hold on. As for the Warriors, they were able to beat the Titans. I thought the Titans really gave it to the Warriors the other night, but the Warriors, they're in third position and they are playing some great footy on the back of Sean Johnson, who could actually win the Dally M, in my opinion. Adam Fanua-Blake's been insane as well. Look, the Tigers have not been bad. They have been in the game the last couple of weeks and they're paying $5.10, which is a great price as well, considering how they've been playing. But the Warriors, they're just on another level. They were only able to win 1-12 last week. Everyone had them 13 plus. So I'm actually going to tip the Warriors 1-12 because I think the Tigers, even if they fall behind, which they did against the Raiders, they can put in a fight and produce points. They've got much better attack than they had at the start of the year and they're scoring a lot more points. So I'm going to go with the Warriors by 12. I'm going to go with a scoreline of 26 points to 14 in favour of New Zealand Warriors. I know they're not the home team in the game, but let's be real, there's going to be more Warriors fans there. And I'm going to go with Tane Tuapiki. He's a try-scoring machine in cup footy, so I'm going to go Tane Tuapiki to score the first try of this game, and I think the Wars are going to keep rolling on. The next game, which I will actually be at this game at Allianz on Saturday night. I've been looking forward to this clash. It's the second match between the Roosters and the Dolphins, the Arthur Beetson Cup. Let's have a look at these team lineups. I have got it in front of me for this one. Nathan Brown out, obviously due to suspension. The Dolphins, for mine, they look unchanged. No Ray Stone coming back onto the bench for the Dolphins. Well, the Dolphins, very unlucky not to get the win against the Knights. A 2-point loss last week. And then the Roosters, a very dominant performance over Manly. But Manly ended up scoring some points towards the end and looked like they could make a real good contest of it. Tell you what, this is the first time I will be wearing the Dolphins jersey. Looking forward to it. It has got Hammer's number on the back. So look, I'll be sitting with the Roosters fan. Yes, I'll be sitting with you, Hainsey, but I will be vlogging for the Dolphins. Who is my tip for this game? Ultimately, I'm going to go the Sydney Roosters because I think their season is almost over, but it will be so weird and funny to see them win these last couple games, which is what I think they're going to do. So I'm going to go the Roosters here. I do think this will be a tight game. I'm going to go the Roosters. I've got my score just here. I'm going to go the Roosters 26 to the Dolphins 18. I'm going to go the Roosters by 8. I think we're going to get a great game. Maybe even a comeback from the Roosters. We'll see. But I'm going to go with Joey Manu to score the first try. He's been in fantastic form. But I think the Roosters should be too good for the Dolphins. But Dolphins fans, don't you worry. I'll be vlogging for you on Saturday night at Allianz. Sunday football sees a return to Amy Park for the Melbourne Storm after playing some games at Marvel Stadium. Now, a team that has a great record at Amy Park, especially recently, is the Canberra Raiders. They are chasing their 4th straight win at Amy Park and they are still sitting in the top 8 and they're fighting for that spot, but they're looking more and more likely, especially after the win last week. As for the Storm, they need to bounce back. A 20-point loss to the Penrith Panthers. They started the game so well, but they were just outplayed all game. Now, as for the Storm, George Jennings out for this one. Remus Smith has been named on the reserve. Munster and Hughes both in the halves, so Hughes returning for this one, and Xavier Coates has been named to return as well. Tarek Sims has been named on the reserves. Nelson Asafa-Solomona on the bench with Liero and Eisenhoof in the back row. As for the Raiders, Seb Chris is out, meaning Rapana once again is at fullback for this one. Ethan Strange comes in the centres. I've seen that name before, but I think it's his NRL debut. I've heard that name before, I'll be honest, but I'm not sure whereabouts. Now, Adrian Trevelyan comes into the bench for the Raiders with Tom Starling being dropped, and that looks to be it for the Raiders. Can they get their 4th win at Amy and absolutely secure a final spot? I don't know, man. The Storm know how to bounce back, and they have bounced back this season in fashion. Last year it was a different story, but this year they have bounced back in big score lines. I'm going to go the Storm by 20 here. Canberra are massive pretenders for mine. I'm going to go the Storm to win 36 points to 16. I reckon this will be high scoring. So over 43 points at $1.90 is my second best bet for the week. I think the Storm win and win well. And my first try scorer, I'm going to go with Nick Meaney. And the final game of the round sees the Newcastle Knights at Newcastle against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Last time these teams met at Accor ANZ Stadium, it was the Knights running away 66-0 winners over the Bulldogs in a crazy round of footy. This time around, will the Bulldogs be able to put in a fight? Let's have a look at their team. Gerald Skelton has been named as an out. Oh, Bradman Best has been named as an out. Isn't that one interesting? Didn't actually know about that one. Bradman Best has been playing some great footy, setting up some great combinations. So Nrl Round will be taking his spot in this game. Oh, this just got interesting, especially with what I had written down as my score, but we will see. Hey, Daniel Saifidi has been named on the reserve, and Kyle Flanagan has been named on the bench with Liam Knight to make his Bulldogs debut, I believe. Unless he was in a previous game, but I think he's making his Bulldogs debut. Now, the Bulldogs, they beat the Dolphins. Lucky to beat the Dolphins. Now they're coming off the bye. They're coming off fresh. The Knights playing really well. The Knights look like they're going to be playing final. Bradman Best, that's a big out for mine, but Ponga, man, he is playing some great footy, and so is Jackson Hastings. So I'm going to go with Newcastle here. I think the Knights are going to be too good. I'm going to go with the Knights by 18. I think they'll put on a big scoreline for the home fans on Sunday afternoon. I'm going to go with the Knights to win 28 points to 10. And my first try scorer, well, I don't think I've picked a back row this week, and I love to snag a back row. So I am going to go with Tyson Frizzell. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Really looking forward to attending Roosters versus Dolphins on Saturday night. Should be a great game of footy. Let me know your tips in the comments. Just to recap, I am tipping Parramatta plus 10.5 as a best bet, and Storm versus Raiders over 43 points. But the try scorers, that's where it's at. Make sure you check it out. Comment your tips below. Check out the link in the description for EH merch. Mitch Moses now has his, and I'll see you guys later.